Today is the 13th Sunday in Ordinary Time, where we are reminded of God's plan for humanity. 2 days ago, I woke up to a devastating text message from a friend of mine informing me of the death of his son, a young man who has just graduated from the university, dying at the age of 24. Everything happened so fast. It is devastating. And we have many people like him is suffering the death of their loved ones. The mystery of death is something that remains with us, something that we can never fathom. Yet, the first reading today tells us that death was never of the plan of God in creating man. How do we explain such? When God created humanity, God made us to enjoy the fullness of God's life, the divine life. He made us in his image and likeness and made our souls to be immortal like he is. God is immortal and he made us immortal. But the reading from the Book of Wisdom tells us that death was sold by the devil. The devil that is not happy with how God has created man. The devil that doesn't want man to enjoy that life that God has created. We may ask questions, why did God allow that? Of course, it goes back to the choice of man, choosing his own will against God's will, choosing his own plan against God's plan. Another why. Why did God allow that to happen? Why did God give us the freedom, the free will, when he knows or he knew we would abuse it? Many why questions that without answers. Yet, we are free to ask. We are free to dwell in these mysteries. But still, let us remember that God did not abandon us to our own fate when we lost the grace. God also sent his Son to change and transform that state of man. And that is what we see in the gospel today. Jesus Christ coming into the scene, and a Jesus Christ that it goes about doing good. Jesus Christ that revives us in his mission, in his life, in his ministry. He goes about doing that. And we see that in the two examples given us in the gospel. The healing of this woman of hemorrhage, and then the raising of the daughter of the synagogue official. The woman came to Jesus. She said she didn't even want to be recognized, but her faith, we're told, the gospel tells us that this woman has gone everywhere for healing. And she was even becoming worse. But she said to herself, if only I can touch the hem of his garment, I will be made clean. What a faith that Jesus also recognized. And she did. And she was cured by touching, simple touching. She didn't want the abracadabra. She didn't want all the kabashing. She only wanted to touch, and she did. Then the synagogue official coming to Jesus. This is someone that we can say has a lot of prejudices about Jesus. Jesus taken as one that has come to disrupt the peace of Jerusalem, the tradition of the Jews. So in this man coming, a whole lot of things is at stake. But he dropped his prejudice and came to Jesus. He would have regarded Jesus as an outsider and dangerous to the Jewish culture and religion. But this is something he dropped, he left behind and approached him because he believed, faith again, that Jesus has all it takes to do this. He dropped his dignity. His dignity was forgotten. As a ruler of the synagogue, allotting rules to people, he didn't delegate his servants to go to Jesus. He came to Jesus himself. It was important to him. And the third thing, his pride was forgotten. He didn't mind what the onlookers would say. A whole meal coming to this young man. No. His mind was made up. He knew what he wanted, the healing for the daughter. And then he came. These three things can actually keep us away from enjoying this life that God has made us for, has created us for, and has given us. Prejudices, dignity, false dignity. Because the only dignity we have is the dignity that is wrapped around our faith, wrapped around the person, our relationship with Jesus. And he also dropped the pride. Pride can keep us away from God. And while he was interacting with Jesus, his servants then came and told him, "Don't bother this man, your daughter is already dead." But Jesus said, no, he's not dead. And Jesus raised her. So two things are shown us here. What faith can do and what Jesus can do by being touched and also by touching us. And Jesus touches us every moment in the sacraments we celebrate. And we also touch him. So that is a relationship, a touch of love, a touch of healing, a touch of faith. That is what we are called to do, to approach him. No matter how devastated we may be, no matter how broken, no matter the sickness, even death cannot take us away from that love of God. Then Paul, writing to the Romans, would tell us that nothing can separate us from the love of God, made manifest in Jesus Christ. Not even death, not hunger, not war, not unemployment, not peril, not suffering. Because we are conquerors with him who died for us and was raised from the dead. So if we know this, then we are empowered to approach Jesus. We may ask ourselves, what then keeps us away from him, from enjoying this love, from enjoying this purpose for which God created us, which the devil thought he has put away from us. He has taken, stolen from us. But no, not at all. It hasn't. So this is a wake-up call for us to return to Jesus, for us to trust him, for us to cast away from ourselves all those things that keep us away from enjoying this life to the full. Let us come to him today. And not just that, when we have enjoyed this, then let us make the sacrifice that Paul tells us in the second reading. let us also touch the lives of others through our own acts of charity, reaching out to them, not giving them, not because we have excess, but because we know how it hurts not to have. And we make sacrifice, we give from the little that we have. And of course, if we cannot give from the little we have, even when we have abundance, we will not be able to reach out to assist others. That is what Jesus has shown us. Giving to the extent of giving his life. That is what God has shown us. Giving to the extent of giving his son. And St. John of the Cross will tell us that that is the greatest gift God has for us. And if God had something else to give us, he would have still given us. But he has given us the greatest in his son. The son that brings healing. The son that raises from the dead. The son that puts back our joy, our smile in our hearts. The son that leads us to salvation. The son that undoes the evil that the devil had done to humanity. Let us approach him. Let us come to him. And in gratitude to God who has given us this, let us continue to make conscious effort to drop our pride, drop our prejudices, drop our dignity, and then come to him as we are in humility, because he would always respond to us as he did to the synagogue official and to the woman of hemorrhage. May God heal us and bring us to him, draw us after him in everything we do, to the glory of his name and for our own salvation. Amen.